These are the 5 best beveling tricks beyond the basics that I use in my workflow every single day and that I think you'll find very useful as well. Let's go. Alright, the first example I want to show you has to do with something called a miter. Alright, so you have a shape like this and you want to go into edit mode here and you select these portions and maybe this edge right here and you bevel it. Well, this will technically work and you could always dissolve these edges up here out because it's on a flat surface, but this bevel here is a little bit weird. You can kind of see the direction is a little bit slanted. So instead what we might want to do here is we might want to just select these only and then bevel that. Now by default you're going to have your miter outer right here set to sharp. This is the default setting in Blender. I don't know why, but pretty much all the time you want to have this set to arc. What this will do is it will kind of bend that and kind of pan it outward, so it's a much more natural looking bevel. And you can see if I go into object mode here with the sharp, it just looks terrible, right? But if we go in and we change this over to an arc, looks a heck of a lot better, as you can see. Now, it's a little bit of a bonus tip whenever you do this. If you want to use the shade auto smooth and you're using a destructive bevel right here, so just a control B, right? You want to add a weighted normal after that. The reason being is because you can see this very obvious shading artifact. And the reason this is happening, I made a video on this before, but just to kind of emphasize this, if I go up here and I go to the vertex normals, you're going to see they're actually kind of slanted right here at that final edge of the bevel. They're slanted at maybe a 20-degree angle or so, not exactly, but close. And that's what's kind of causing this shading warp. In order to fix that, you need to add a weighted normal, which will make that perfectly 90 degrees, all right? So you can actually just go in here, you can go to normals, weighted normal, and that'll fix the shading for you. Now check this out. If I apply that weighted normal, again, this is with it off, this is with it on. If I apply that, watch what happens. We have perpendicular normals right here. Whereas beforehand, before we apply that, a little bit bent. That's kind of why that shading error is occurring. The weighted normal is going to flex it 90 degrees. A little bit of a bonus tip there. All right, tip number 2. Let's say you want to get different sized bevels inside of your booleans. So for example, let's say I went in here and I just ran a cut. Maybe I, beveled it like that. And you're going to see I have a bevel modifier right here, which is essentially beveling or highlighting all the hard edges here on the model. Now, when I adjust this bevel modifier, it adjusts all the hard edges here. But let's say I wanted this outer portion to have one bevel size and maybe this boolean right here to have a different bevel size. This is where we can use something called a step bevel. So let me just go in here and undo that real quick. Before we run the boolean, you're going to see I have one bevel right here. This one, as you can see, is affecting the hard edges. And let's say on this boolean, I want to have a different size. What I can do is I can just go in here, press Q, operations, and then step. All right. And then I can just run my boolean cut, do whatever I was doing before. But now watch this. If I, adjust the bevel, now I have my own bevel size on this one. And then I also have, if I hold control and scroll down, I have this size over here. So I have 2 different bevels that I can work with, and I can stack these over and over. For example, maybe I want to run another boolean. In this case, I can go to step bevel. I can go in here, do the same thing, maybe a bit smaller on this one. But now I have a bevel modifier affecting this one. So I have 3 different size bevels. I have this one right here. I have this one right here. And then I have this one right here. Now, I will let you know, due to Blender limitations, the more you stack these, the laggier it becomes, even if you have a good machine. But in general, you're not going to be using too many. This is just for example purposes here. Whenever I use this feature, I only use a couple bevels anyways, so it's not really that big of a deal. And then remember, if you ever get these weird shading issues like you can see here, let me go to a different matte cap. As you can see, always add your weighted normals like I showed you at the beginning of the video. That is going to flex everything and make it perfectly 90 degrees and you're going to have a very clean shading on the mesh. All right, before we get on to the next feature, I do want to mention that we have an entire training inside of our Accelerator program going over topology, shading, all the different bevel strategies we use, the entire hard surface modeling workflow, and this program will get you from 0 to completely proficient in under 2 weeks of time. We've done this for over 4,000 students now, so if you want to learn our entire hard surface modeling workflow in Blender in about 2 weeks with just 30 to 60 minutes per day of work, click the link in the top of the description or in the pinned comment to learn more. Now, the next one is something that sounds a bit counterintuitive, but if I want to bevel something like this and then it starts overlapping, like you can see, you need to turn on something called clamp overlap. And if we press the C key, that's going to enable it. But basically, when those two edges meet right there at the top, they're going to be overlapped. So we need to make sure we remove that by selecting everything, pressing M, and then merge by distance. That'll merge that into one because we have two vertices on top of each other, as you can see. So again, just select everything, press M, merge by distance, and there you go. Now, you might think this is a useful tool, but when you're doing, general hard surface modeling workflows, you probably won't really want to use this, and I'll give you an example of why. I mainly use this tool for diagnosing maybe manifold issues. Maybe I'm making a game asset and I can't have overlapping geometry. But let's say you're just making a design, right? I could go in here and maybe I have a Boolean cut, kind of like this, just as an example, right? Now, if I wanted to add a bevel right here, you're going to see it starts overlapping almost immediately just because, the topology is a bit dense here. So if I go to bevel, and then I go to right here to geometry and I turn on that clamp overlap, I can't actually bevel that edge at all. So most of the time, unless I can't have overlapping geometry, maybe for my workflow, I tend to keep this turned off because if I'm just doing like concept art or a render or just trying to get a quick design, I don't really care if I have some overlaps here. I just want to have that bevel in there so I can actually see the shape and see how it looks. And then you can always fix this later on with, an offset cut, bevel shader, whatever you want to use. All right, for the fourth example, I want to show you something that will just kind of save you a few clicks. So let's say I'm running a Boolean operation and and then I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to apply that Boolean, and then I'm just going to have, my bevel modifier right here. Now you're going to see if I start beveling, we kind of get, these weird overlaps for seemingly no reason. But if I go into wireframe mode here, you can see particularly what's happening. First of all, we have this area back here. It's kind of bending inwards and overlapping. And then this connection point, because every Boolean has to have two connection points for it to work in a polygon software. So this is one connection point, this is the other, and they start overlapping almost immediately. Now there's two ways to fix this. I'll show you the easiest one. What you actually want to do here is you want to go to your bevel modifier, or if you're using a Control B, it'll be in this menu down here. But you're going to go to your bevel modifier and you're going to go here to the loop slide feature under geometry. Just turn that off. That's it. Literally all you have to do now, instead of this bending inwards and overlapping, watch what happens when I turn this off. Now that's not actually happening. It's kind of maintaining the positioning there. So now I won't actually have any overlaps until I'm like physically overlapping both the bevels there, right? So in general, I tend to keep this setting turned off. I've never really seen a reason where this is like particularly useful, at least not in my general workflow. So keep this turned off and you're going to be good to go. Now, the last example I want to show you is a very good example of where you either want to use something like an offset cut or something called a bevel shader. So say you have a design and you wanted to render it or use it for concept art or use it outside of Blender. You can't really have these overlaps. It's just not going to look very good if it's a render, and if it's outside of Blender, the shading's not going to display properly. So you can't really avoid these overlaps super well. So this is an example of where you're either going to have to like physically go in here and like slide the geometry out of the way, or in this case, you'd have to go in, you'd have to apply your modifiers here, then go in here and then just dissolve out the stuff that's overlapped. You have to slide this over, you know, dissolve this out, dissolve that. It's going to be a pain in the ass, and it's just going to take you a long time. And generally, we don't need to waste time, especially if it's just a concept render or, you know, something like that. In this case, I wouldn't even bother using a bevel modifier. It's not really worth it. Instead, I would use something called a bevel shader. And I'll show you how to set this up properly. You may have seen this before, but I'm going to show you how to set this up in 2 ways, okay? So first of all, if we go here into the shader editor, this is very easy to do. We're just going to add a new material, and then we're just going to go in. We need to go into rendering mode as well. And then we can just give this a bit of a different color here, and then just maybe make this metallic. And I'm on my laptop right now. It's a bit slow, so apologies for that. So now check this out. All we need to do is we need to go in here. We need to press Shift A. We're going to go to Input Bevel, just like that. And then I believe that's all we have to do. We can just connect this up just like that. And this is going to give a procedural bevel, which is essentially a fake bevel. What this is doing is it's creating a fake shadow around the hard edges, which gives the illusion of a bevel, but it looks identical. So here you can even increase the samples. That'll just make it look better essentially. So I don't have a particular number to suggest to you. I'll just put that to 8. It's going to be a little bit cleaner, as you can see, a little bit higher resolution almost. And then if you want this to be a smaller bevel, you could go like 0.02, do something like that. If you want this to be a larger bevel, you could go like 0.08, do something like that. After a certain point, it's going to break apart. You don't want to use these for larger bevels, because if I go to something like 2, it's going to look completely fake because the shadow is just too far away from the edges, so it doesn't look real anymore. You can kind of see right here, when I set the radius to 0.2, it looks completely fake, doesn't look real. So in general, you want to keep these values a little bit lower. It's mainly for the edge highlights, not for larger bevels. So something like 0.01 is going to be like very clean. Something like 0.05 is going to be a bit larger, but it'll still look, good. Now, another way to do this is with our Material Works plugin. So you can just go in here, you can choose, whatever texture you want to use. Say I go in and I choose this coated titanium. I choose the material I want to use, then I can literally just click on this bevel button right here, and that'll add a shader for you automatically. Now this is a bit more customized, but overall it's the same thing. You can increase the samples here. You can increase the width by just clicking that button. You can type in a number manually, and it's going to do the same thing, but you're also going to have, full control here without going into the shader editor. I can actually close that. And this works for any of our materials. You can see here with this camo material, I can actually go in. The same thing's going to work. I just turn on the bevel option. I can go in, make this larger if I want to, change the sample count, make this like 8 so it's more defined, and I can get the same exact effect here inside of Material Works. So if you have this plugin, you can do the same thing in here without using the shader editor. And that's a good example of, where you would want to use a bevel shader instead of an actual bevel modifier, just because it might start breaking apart with, curved surfaces and higher resolution geometry, kind of like this. So that's it. Those are the 5 best beveling tricks that I use in my workflow quite frequently. Hopefully you can incorporate these into your workflow as well. And that's really all there is to it. If you enjoyed the video and want to learn our entire hard surface modeling workflow in about 1 to 2 weeks with just 30 to 60 minutes per day of work, like over 4,000 students have done at this point, then click the link in the top of the description to check out our Accelerator program. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.